Hi guys, thanks for joining me on Opposition Recon ahead of our game at Goodison Park tomorrow. So obviously, being Opposition Recon, we've got an opposition fan on with us. Ryan, please introduce yourself to the millions watching.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's nice to be on a different channel for a change. I run an Everton channel called Follow Everton, so I'm here to represent them and the whole of Everton Football Club.
Brilliant. We greatly appreciate him. For anybody that's watching, please do give them a look. I'm not terribly tribalistic. Yes, I'm a West Ham fan, but I like to listen to sort of the opinions of football fans in general. So please, if you like me, give them a follow on YouTube and on Twitter. And let's try and get their numbers bumped up as well. So one family, we're all a football family here. Also, on that, I neglected to obviously do it for our channel. Please don't forget to put a like on the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and make sure you hit that bell icon to be notified of any new content as and when we upload it to the channel. Ryan, obviously, I'm probably a little bit older than you, I would wager. And one of the first great teams that I remember was the Howard Kendall team of the mid-'80s, Neville Southall, Kevin Ratcliffe, players like that. Gary Lineker, I know he wasn't part of a title-winning team. He was sort of sandwiched in between and all the rest of it. But that was a magnificent team back then. But I mean, they're a team that I've got an awful lot of respect for, but for a whole multitude of reasons. They've not won a league title since '87, but they're one of the big names in English football. Where do you see your standing at the moment? I mean, obviously you've got the top six. You see yourself on a sort of similar plane to teams like us at Aston Villa.
Well, I think Everton are forever in transition. I mean, we're talking about some failed regimes. I think we've had 6 managers in the past 5 or 6 years, which speaks volumes, really. You can't argue with the size of Everton in terms of their fan base and their history. 9 league titles, 5 FA Cups. They have had success, but they're in danger of becoming a bit more of a relic rather than a relevant side. And I think the new stadium is going to really help with that commercially and attracting players. So there is reasons to be optimistic there in terms of where I see us competing, if that's kind of what you're asking. We are in that mix just below the top 6, really, on paper. I think when we've got a full squad of players available, the squads maybe compared to the likes of West Ham and Villa, it's not quite as good. But the first 11 if you compare the first 11s, I think Everton's does edge it with those sides. It's just I don't think we have the strength and depth to compete over the course of the season with the likes of yourselves, really.
Yeah, that's fair. If we sort of go back to sort of the summer. And obviously, Carlo Ancelotti, who was the previous summer, had been given a fair chunk of change to go and spend on players and strengthen and all the rest of it. He was backed by Farhad Moshiri. There's absolutely no doubt about that. 12 months later, he's been waved a bigger checkbook in his face, and he's off ski to Real Madrid. And the rumor started Rafa Benitez. Before he got the gig, what was your thoughts? Was you like, oh, actually, that'd be good? Or were you like...
Yeah, well, first of all, in fairness, Carlo didn't leave for money. He's left because the whole experience of being in Real Madrid is, there's no comparison with Everton and that culture and way of life. He just was unsettled here. But with Rafa Benitez, obviously, that leads me to saying that, he is settled on Merseyside. And that's why, realistically, he's the Everton manager. Because his family are living in the Wirral, which is, very close to Liverpool. And he's happy, in the area. And this is a convenient job for him. In terms of how I felt about it at the time, I was fairly disgusted because as a 27-year-old man growing up watching Everton, in my early teens, he was the manager of the arch enemy. Yeah. So there was a hatred there for Rafa Benitez and a despise of him. So when he was named the Everton manager, it was kind of like, if you don't laugh, you cry. So I decided to laugh and I went with it for a little bit. And you know what? His start so far has been more than adequate, really. The League Cup defeat, which I was at down at QPR aside, he's done what you'd expect And I think the Old Trafford result probably takes it a little bit more than, okay, it's done what he's expected and a little bit more. So it's a positive start. Whether I still like the guy, I'm not 100% sure, if I'm honest with you, but we'll see. Maybe I like him a bit more tomorrow at 4:00.
And do you think that's a view that's shared by the vast majority of the Everton fans that attend home matches regularly? Do you think that there's been a little bit of a recalibration, or do you think there's still a volume of support that are still like, yeah, but he's the Liverpool manager, and he once, for people that are not aware, he once upon a time made a comment, I believe it was in the aftermath of a Merseyside derby. Was David Moyes the manager of this particular match, I believe, as well, ironically enough, where he described Everton as a small club. I mean, do you think that there are fans that quite simply are never going to forgive him no matter what he does?
The diehard blue, will never like Rafa Benitez unless he's lifting, trophies and kissing the badge in front of the Gladys Street and putting 2 fingers up to the cop, which is which was what we all want to see, in fairness. But a vast majority of the fan base, I'd say 75%, were against him at the start. And I think fans are now behind him. I think I'd say 90% of the Everton faithful are behind him. And you're always going to get a few that will never like him, no matter what he does. But, it's reasons to be optimistic. I think everyone's content at the moment, if I'm honest with you, on the blue side of Merseyside. And it's an added spice. It's very interesting, actually. Moyes is in the dugout of the away team, and Rafa Benitez is the home manager.
Yeah,
on Sunday.
Swapped round.
It is. It's like we're living in a parallel universe, but it's fascinating. It's going to be interesting to see.
In terms of the transfer business that you guys did in the summer, I mean, there was a number of ins and outs and all the rest of it. There's 2 that I'm looking at the moment that, as far as this season's concerned, seem to have hit the ground running. That being Andros Townsend and Damari Gray. Again, what were your thoughts when they first walked through the door against possibly your stance on them now? Have they maybe exceeded expectations, or?
Well, look, we've been shopping in the wrong markets, and I think that's been a case for West Ham and before David Moyes, looking at the wrong players, maybe mercenary type characters who come for the money and the location and don't really care for the shirt. And I think Everton did that in previous seasons. And I think, under Rafa Benitez, he's gone, well, we're paying the price, for want of a pun, for, other people's mistakes, previous mistakes. And the signings he brought in at the time, Andros Townsend, I kind of thought it was a bit of a joke when we were linked to him. And no disrespect to Andros, who's a lovely guy. I listened to him on TalkSport. But, I thought, what are we doing here? And then Damari Gray had been outcast at Leicester, sent to Germany. I thought, dearie me, we're skint. And the list goes on there with the likes of Rondon.
He was 1.1 million. Did I read that right?
1.7 million for Damari Gray, and just
nothing,
and just days, a free transfer for Townsend.
Yeah.
I thought, oh God, what's going on here? We're a right mess. Rafa Benitez has come in. The signings on paper are poor. But, I've been proven wrong so far, which is a pleasure to hear, really, and to see, of course. And I think Damari Gray's been arguably the buy of the season, for that fee and his goals output. You saw him against Man United. He's a top player, really. The thing with Townsend is it's just, can he show that level of consistency? Because he's always had some ability, but it's always been in little short spells, and then he'll go off the radar for 6 months and do nothing. So it's about consistency. And I think those 2 are the most important players, along with Abdoulaye Doucouré for the match tomorrow. If they play well, Everton have got a good chance. But if they don't turn up, there's, Everton are going to really struggle because there's a reliance on them at the moment. There really is.
Yeah. So let's get on to the match tomorrow at Goodison. Now I've got to put it on our pre-match, which hasn't actually been recorded yet. I think we're going to be doing that live in just about an hour and a half, all things being equal. I actually put together what I predicted the Everton lineup to be, and I actually did it once the previous match day fixtures had been done. Obviously, I didn't know there was going to be certain injury doubts and all the rest of it in between times. However, a lot of those injury doubts in Rafa's pre-match presser, a lot of those injury doubts have actually looked like they might have come through okay. I mean, the talk was a couple of days ago, Luca Digne wasn't going to be involved and this and that. Well, now it looks like Luca Digne is going to be involved. I put together a team, and I'll just run through it with you and see whether you think this is probably going to be how you're going to go. Jordan Pickford in goal, not really a surprise there. Back four, I suspect, will be Luca Digne at left back with Michael Keane, and I suspect that Yerry Mina might actually make it. I know there's obviously talk that he's obviously been away on international duty. Is he going to have enough time to be fit? But I suspect he probably will. I think you're probably going to have Ben Godfrey at right back, Doucouré and Alan as central midfielders. I actually think you're going to go 4-4-1-1 rather than 4-2-3-1, but it's debatable. Then Anthony Gordon on the left, Andros Townsend on the right, Damari Gray sitting just off of the striker being Salomon Rondon. Do you see that's largely going to be the team that you'll put out, or do you see any maybe sort of curveballs that Rafa's going to throw?
In fairness, the team isn't far off. Yerry Mina, the thing with him is he's a shoo-in. You need him up against Antonio, and it's not to say Ben Godfrey doesn't have the pace to match Antonio, and it's just he's a strong physical player. Yeah. And Yerry Mina, it's going to come down to how Everton play tomorrow. If we're playing an aggressive, up-tempo style, trying to play on the front foot, then Godfrey's recovery pace would lend quite well. If we're going to be trying to play on the counter-attack, which I think we would prefer to do, then Mina would be useful for that low block. In terms of answering that question, though, I think Seamus Coleman will play at right back, and Ben Godfrey will play at centre-back with Michael Keane, just because Yerry Mina, it's a lot of travelling, and he's played 3 games. So I just don't see him starting the game, unfortunately. And midfield, Alan and Doucouré as the linchpin. And I think Alex Iwobi will come straight back into midfield to play on the left, Amari Gray, just behind Rondon, and on the right, Andros Townsend. So I think it will be that. It's not to be harsh on Anthony Gordon, really. It's just I think Alex Iwobi will play because Rafa likes him and he's an experienced player, and he goes with experience in general. So that's the team. No Calvert-Lewin, no Richarlison. And I think those two, if they were playing, you'd put a banker on Everton to win at home. I think with them not playing, I think West Ham have got a really strong chance here of picking up a win at Goodison Park. And arguably, I think the draw would be the bookies' favourite result, maybe a 2-2 or a... Yeah, I just think, those two, you're losing your potency up front. And I think West Ham will have some joy tomorrow.
And as an Everton fan looking at West Ham rocking up at Goodison in the form that we've been in, both the Premier League and in cup competitions, Europa League and League Cup, who do you see as the West Ham danger man or danger men? Who would you pinpoint?
Well, I wouldn't say... let me rephrase that a little bit better. We look at West Ham and Moyes is doing a great job. I really do think he's doing well. He should have been kept on in the first place, really, because he needs to find a club he loves. He was a bit of a joke manager, going to Sunderland and Spain. But I just think that was a case of, he's being ridiculed because he's not at the right club. And I think he is at the right club now. He's been backed really well. The signings are better. You managed to keep hold of Declan Rice, who's a top talent. And you've also been able to... develop some of the individuals who have come from abroad, maybe Kufal and Souček, who've gone on the radar of other clubs, and you've brought them in and developed them, and they're fantastic. So I think it's a really well-balanced side, and there's a lot of players we can be fearful from. And I think the defence is also extremely solid. Kurt Zouma is a player we courted for a while, and I think you should be delighted that he's part of your squad. So defense is solid. The midfield is, Souček running in late. Declan Rice, very good defensive midfielder. I think you've got a lot of options there. Antonio's a strong boy. I think we will handle him, though. I'll be honest with you. Famous last words. But, in fairness, it's a really strong squad. I think for you this season, it's about trying to consolidate and try and get in and around that top 8 whilst maintaining European, and try and get to at least the quarterfinals, hopefully the semi-finals and beyond for you in the Europa League. Because I think with Moyes as Everton manager, he struggled to balance the two competitions. The league form would suffer when we were in Europe, and when we weren't in Europe, we do well in the league. So it's about finding that. The early signs for you are that you have been, off memory, you've won 1 in 5 in the league, and that's not really good enough, I don't think. And you only kept 2 clean sheets in 11, the last 18 games. It gets worse. So you're going to concede a goal, I think. And your record in the league hasn't been fantastic this season. It can be better, middle of the road, but you're doing well in the Europa League. And I think you're going to have a great season. I just think it's
fingers
a little
crossed.
bit of settling down into the two competitions, and you'll go far. And West Ham will bloom really nicely.
Appreciate it, Brian. Well, and also I appreciate your time coming on. I'm aware you've obviously got a dash off.
I've got 5 more minutes. I have got 5 more minutes if you need me.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I've got 5 more minutes.
Okay, no, that's fine. So again, sort of like, what do you think? I know sort of like the season's long and winding road and all the rest of it, and it's a little bit of role play. I'm going to throw this question out there. Game 38 of the Premier League season's done. What for you is a par score for Everton Football Club?
Well, realistically, Everton is a side. You're talking about people perhaps your age, no disrespect, and a lot of love to you, but your age, you see Everton, you described them earlier as the team in the 80s, maybe in the 60s and beyond. And you're not that old, but, Everton, historically, a massive club and with success. And now the young generation have not seen anything. So if you ask people a bit older than me, they'll go, winning the league, top 4. Winning a cup. Yeah, that's what it is. There's nothing else, but that is relevant to these people because they've seen it. Whereas you ask someone like me, unfortunately, I haven't seen anything. I was two years old when Everton were in the FA Cup final, in 1995. And I did see us in 2009 bottle it against Chelsea, and times against United in 2012, Liverpool as well. I've seen us get close without doing anything. And so the expectations, they're lower. In the younger age groups. And I think we'd say, well, if we managed to sneak into the top 6, that'd be a brilliant season. But realistically, look at where Everton have finished. 8th place would be, or Rafa said it would mean nothing to him, and it wouldn't mean much to us. But I think realistically, minimum of 8th place, and we need to be sneaking into that top 6. That's what we've got to be aiming at this season. Otherwise, what's the point? We might as well not turn up, not do anything. I might as well go and play on a PlayStation.
Yeah.
Now the football's on. There's no relevance. It means not. As a West Ham fan, you've come up and down. There's no point finishing 8th. There's no point finishing 10th. There's no point finishing 12th. It means nothing to you. You want to win something.
Yeah.
So really, to answer your question, I'd say top 6 is what we need and what we want. And if you ask anyone older than me, they'll say they're still not bothered about that. They want to win stuff, and they want to. That's why that the League Cup defeat, really, going out to QPR. Is a disaster. I think it's a little bit overlooked, really. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, I remember Everton. Everton are a fantastic football club. For tomorrow, I don't wish you any success. I'm not gonna lie. Tomorrow I hope you absolutely bomb, and I hope you look terrible. But Everton is beyond that. Everton as a football club. Everton as a football club, I've got an awful lot of respect for. They're a traditional football club. They've got an absolutely fantastic fan base, and you're right. You have been starved of success for many years. So it's a labour of love to support an Everton fan, and I know that because I support West Ham, and we've not won anything since 1980. So
you've got a really nice plan in place there, I think, and you're backing the manager, and it's really nice. With Everton, I think there's too many cooks in the kitchen at the top in the boardroom and around them in the. I can't really go into too many details, but there is a lot going on there, and I just read recently, and I knew this already, but. With transfers, you've got one person saying one thing, another saying another, and then you've got about 50 agents negotiating on the same deal.
Oh,
we need to find the right balance. The new stadium will be good for us. I think. What actually happened with your new stadium? Because you moved there and everyone hated it, and now you like it, or?
Right. I mean, I don't know. Have you ever been to London Stadium yet, Ryan?
Not yet. I've
Okay.
I went to Upton Park. I like that. I mean, the only game I saw there, you beat us and Adrian scored the final penalty.
Oh,
Don't know
the
if you
penalty
remember.
shootout.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cup game. Well, put it this way: it's people ask me, people that have never been to London Stadium ask me as a West Ham fan, what's it like? And I look at them and I say, listen, it's a world-class stadium, but it is not a world-class football stadium, and therein lies the problem. It's an athletic stadium. You can see it's an athletic stadium. They're trying to shoehorn football into it, but it doesn't quite work. The gap between the front row and the pitch is huge.
Could they add some extra seats in?
They could, but the thing is that what you got to understand is that because they're temporary, the lower stands are temporary seats. You've got this huge, great chasm between the back of the bottom tier ends and the front of the top tier begins. There's this huge, great chasm, and there's like tarpaulins that sort of like are covering it. So you've got this great big expanse of dead space.
So you don't like it?
No. If I'm being brutally honest, listen, as a business deal, we can't complain. We're paying $1.5 million, $2 million a season on a 99-year lease for a 60,000 stadium, which has scope. There are actually, I think, 66,000 seats in the stadium, but we can only use 60,000 of them as of right now because of Premier League rules and this, that, and the other. But there is scope that we can get the extra 6,000 or so seats opened up.
Do you feel it?
Generally, yes. But what I will say is that do we fill it with West Ham dyed-in-the-wool fans? No, I know that for a fact. A lot of them are corporate. A lot of them are just day trippers that just want to watch a Premier League game and they don't have any affinity a lot of the time to either team. I actually had it for the Manchester United game. There was a couple of guys that were sitting near me and they were Man United fans in the home end, and I'm like,
should have hit them.
Guys, you might want to be a bit careful sitting there, sort of thing. I mean, where I'm at, I'm right at the back, so it's not like they were right.
No wonder you hate it.
But yeah, it's not great. If I'm being honest, like I say, it's a wonderful stadium. It's a world-class stadium, but is it a world-class football stadium? No, not really.
Well, if enough fans, complained, you'd hope they'd do something about it, and not really. It doesn't sound like there's a lot. Well, you can. There's always things you can do. It just costs money, doesn't it? Architects can get in there and start fiddling with things, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, there's ways around it, but as I say, we don't own the stadium, and that's the problem. We can't fundamentally change anything about the stadium itself unless we're given permission to do so, and they're not going to give us permission. So
yeah,
it is what it is. We are where we are. We're not where we want to be, but that's for another day, hopefully. But Ryan, I'm going to end the broadcast there. Thank you very much indeed for your time. And guys, please don't forget to follow Everton Fan TV Channel on YouTube and Twitter, as it says at the bottom of the banner.
Absolutely tiny. Absolutely tiny channel.
Hopefully you'll be a little bit bigger once this goes out, and that you'll get a few West Ham fans that will say, actually, I'll give them a support. He looks like a nice guy. And Ryan, I'll just put it out there that if ever there's anything that you want us to jump on your channel and reciprocate, we're more than happy to do it. Thanks, I'll talk to you afterwards. Once I've finished the broadcast, we'll just have a little chat afterwards, real quick. But I'd like to obviously see if we can get you on after the game as well, just for a quick touch base.
Super. Nice to chat. Thanks, guys.
No problem. Thanks for watching, guys. And don't forget, subscribe to both channels, and let's get our numbers up. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.